I think there's really only one way to attract, retain good staff, happy staff to move the organization forward, and that's that you have to be able, as a leader, to give them a sense of fulfillment. In other words, they have to feel fulfilled. You have to think about them, you have to put yourself in their position, and you have to understand what is going to satisfy them and challenge them in a positive way. I think everybody wants to make a contribution. Money is always a part of it. I don't think that we can diminish money or throw it out the window, because part of people feeling that they are fulfilled is feeling that they're appreciated. That brings up issues such as parity in the workplace in terms of financial remuneration. But other than money, people want to make a contribution. They want to be heard. They want to, in some fashion, know that what it is that drives them, that makes them feel fulfilled, is actually being met in some way. And that's different for each individual person. Well, what I've learned from me, and I don't know if this is for everyone, I'm not sure that this is a generalization I can make, but for me, what it is carefully listening to the people with whom I work, trying to essentially get into their heads about what it is they're saying they need, and what it is that they need to be happy and to be fulfilled, and trying to give that to them. Another way of saying it is that the onus is on me to try and draw things out of them. The onus is on me to take the steps where they can be productive and where they can be as happy and as fulfilled as possible in the workplace. That's an interesting question, and it's really a tough one to answer, but I guess here's what I would say about it is, and some of this is based on my own experience, is that great people sometimes find you, sometimes you find them, but the critical piece of it is that there has to be an openness to what the greatness is in a person. And so oftentimes what I've found is that while I go into a search, while I go into looking for to fulfill a position, thinking that this is the right person, this is what they look like. They're 6 feet tall, they weigh 185 pounds, they got blonde hair, blue eyes, whatever it may be. I have to be open to what sits down in front of me, or who sits down in front of me rather, and be open to, you know what, that's the right person. And they're not 6 feet, 185 pounds, blonde hair, blue eyes. They're a brunette. And they are 240 pounds, or whatever it may be. My point is, I'm being a little bit flip, but the point is, there has to be an openness. You have to be secure enough as the employer, as the person looking, you have to be secure enough to know what the needs are, to be able to be open to different ways that those needs could be fulfilled. Yes, there definitely are, and they are different in every situation. So whatever that particular core set of questions are, they're determined by what the needs of my organization are and what the needs of the job are, and they'll shift and be varied. But inevitably, the questions in some way touch on how is this person going to fit in with whatever the particular culture is or whatever the particular situation is that I'm looking for. It goes also to how self-motivated is this person? Are they the kind of person who needs very clear orders, very clear directions about what the job is in front of them? Or are they the kind of person who is a self-starter and actually will make up what the job is in front of them in order to get to the successful solution for the organization? And sometimes you need one or the other, so I don't mean to say that it's always the same question, because sometimes the situations change and the organizations require different things. It's interesting. So when somebody leaves who's stellar, who's been great for the organization, I suppose the reaction really depends on why it is they're leaving and what they're leaving for, because oftentimes people go as far as they can in an organization and another opportunity comes up for them, and sometimes you can see that that opportunity, much as you hate to lose the person, that that opportunity is the right opportunity for them at that point in their career as you look at their career. That's part of what I was saying earlier about getting into your colleagues' heads and understanding what's right for them, what they need to be fulfilled. Because over the working life of any person and over the years of lives of any institution, the needs shift. The organization shifts and the person shifts. And it's almost inevitable that people reach the end of where they can grow and be fulfilled in a particular role, or sometimes even in a particular organization. I think it depends on what your company is, and for some people that might be exactly right. That is what their role is. They want people, because whatever their business is, they need people that are moving at a certain speed. They need people that are invested only so far, and that's right for that business. The only other thing that I would say back is, I don't know that I ever believe that sexy and more resourced is what's the determining factor of whether people go or stay or not. I think it's really more, and this is, I'm just going to repeat what I've been saying before. It's really a question of, can you make the environment for your employees fulfilling enough that they will continue to get something out of it and stay? And I think money is only one piece of it. Sometimes a small piece. For other people, it's a large piece. That's a personal decision for each one of the employees in your organization. But I never believe it's just about money. What is going on in your business model that you are so resource-starved that you can't get to the things you need to get to? Is your aspiration too high, too big? Are you undercapitalized? Because at the end of the day, as a leader and as a manager, that's your job, is to make decisions and to make those choices, to prioritize where to put your resources. So it's not at all unusual if we're talking about the not-for-profit sector, if we're talking about the performing arts sector, it's not at all unusual that there just aren't enough resources, but in fact, in my opinion, it's really the model that's broken. So much of my own philosophy comes from my own experience. I started and spent a long part of my career not being in institutions, but dealing with institutions. In other words, being on the other side of it, a temporary employee, working as a designer. After law school, I started to move more to the institutional side and started to begin to look at things, from the point of view of retaining, attracting people that you have to work with on an ongoing basis instead of project to project. My experience really came down to me listening to the colleagues around me, listening to what they were saying, and listening to how it is that they get satisfaction out of what they do. The only advice that I can give is that in any environment, you have to listen to the people around you. And hearing what they're saying, trying to be responsive to what they're saying, is really the key to having a successful workplace, to attracting and retaining successfully employees, unless you just treat them as a commodity. And there are businesses that do that. One can make that choice to treat employees as commodities. That's sort of the basics of the economics of capitalism, right? It's, the workers are a commodity. I think it's incredibly rich to build an organization where people have the ability to participate, where people have the ability to feel like they're building something together, where people have the ability to feel like they're making a contribution and their particular job matters. And as somebody who deals with people and supervises people, there's nothing that gives me greater pleasure. It's sort of like what people say about those who like to give money and like to give big sums of money. Sure, there are always those who do it because they want their name up in lights. But if you talk to people who give money philanthropically in whatever field it is, inevitably you hear that they give money because it feels good to see other people being successful. It's not about them. It's about what they can do for other people. And if one carries that philosophy into the workplace, I think that one has a very similar sense of fulfillment and a very similar sense of doing good and of being successful in a very different way than one might think most people should have it.